They want you to look at the national debt. They want you to panic about the $35 trillion figure flashing on the debt clock in New York City. They tell you that is the asteroid heading for Earth. But what if I told you that $35 trillion is a decoy? What if I told you that the real number, the one that keeps central bankers awake at night, the one that makes the 2008 crash look like a gentle hiccup, is not in the trillions. It is in the quadrillions. What if the entire global financial system is actually sitting on a bubble of bets on bets that is larger than all the physical wealth on planet Earth combined? Welcome to the derivatives market, the shadow casino. You feel it, do you not? You go to the grocery store and the price of eggs or beef shocks you. You look at your 401k or your pension and you wonder why it feels like you are running on a treadmill, making money but losing purchasing power. You are told it is supply chains or corporate greed, but the unfiltered truth is much darker. The inflation you are suffering today is the cost of keeping this $1 quadrillion bubble from bursting. You're not just paying for your groceries, you are paying the insurance premium on a gambler's addiction that started 40 years ago. Where are you watching from today? Let me know in the comments below. Are you seeing these price hikes in Florida, in Texas, in the UK? I want to know because this is a global phenomenon and we need to document it. And if you are tired of the mainstream media gaslighting you about the economy, do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button right now. We are building a community that values the unfiltered truth because your financial survival depends on knowing what they are not telling you. Today, we aren't just looking at the debt. We are looking at the weapon of mass financial destruction that is pointing right at your retirement.
To understand how we got to a number as insane as 1 quadrillion, we have to go back to a time when finance actually served a purpose. Originally, a derivative was a tool for survival, not a weapon of greed. Picture a wheat farmer in Kansas in 1900. He plants his crop in April, but he does not harvest until October. He is terrified that the price of wheat might crash before he can sell it. So, he signs a contract with a baker. The baker agrees to buy the wheat in October for a fixed price. That contract derives its value from the wheat. It is a derivative. It was boring. It was safe. It was insurance. But then, the 1990s happened. Wall Street lobbyists convinced Washington to deregulate. They argued that these contracts should not just be for farmers and bakers. They should be for anyone to bet on anything. Suddenly, you did not need to own the wheat to bet on the price of wheat. You did not need to own the house to buy insurance on the house burning down. Imagine this. You own a home. You buy fire insurance. That is prudent. Now, imagine your neighbor buys fire insurance on your house, and the mailman buys fire insurance on your house, and a banker in London buys fire insurance on your house. Now, thousands of people are financially incentivized for your house to burn to the ground. And if your kitchen catches fire, the insurance company does not just owe you money, They owe the neighbor, the mailman, and the banker. They owe 1,000 times the value of the house. Sound familiar? This is exactly what happened in 2008. It wasn't just that people stopped paying their mortgages. It was that Wall Street had created trillions of dollars in side bets on top of those mortgages. When the homeowners defaulted, the derivative bubble popped. AIG, a massive insurance company, realized it owed more money than existed in its vaults to pay off these bets. The government stepped in. They printed billions to bail out AIG. Why? Not to save the insurance company, but to save the banks on the other side of those bets. But here is the terrifying part. We didn't fix the problem in 2008. We just made the casino bigger. In 2008, the notional value of these derivatives was estimated around $500 trillion. Today, the Bank for International Settlements, the central bank of central banks, admits it is nearly impossible to track, but estimates range from $600 trillion to over $1 quadrillion. Let that sink in. The total GDP of the entire world, the value of every car made, every meal served, every iPhone sold, is only about $100 trillion. The bets are 10 times larger than the economy that supports them. Sound familiar? It is the 1929 stock market mania, but on steroids. It is the 2008 housing bubble, but global. And just like in 2007, the experts are telling you everything is fine. They tell you that the banking system is resilient. They tell you that contagion is contained. Sound familiar? They told us subprime was contained in 2007. They told us inflation was transitory in 2021. The pattern of denial is the only consistent thing about our financial history. But the physics of finance do not care about denial. When you leverage an economy 10 to 1, you do not get a soft landing. You get a crater. The difference between 2008 and today is the trigger. In 2008, it was poor people not paying mortgages. Today, the trigger is not the borrower. The trigger is the cost of money itself. We have moved from a crisis of credit to a crisis of liquidity. And the mechanism that is about to break isn't a mortgage bond. It is something far more fundamental, something that touches your credit card, your car loan, and the very stability of your pension fund.
So, how does a $1 quadrillion bubble actually burst? You might think it requires a war, or a pandemic, or a massive stock market crash. But the twist is, the mechanism that blows this whole thing up is the very thing designed to save us: interest rates. For 15 years, since 2008, interest rates were at zero. Money was free. When money is free, Wall Street does not just sit on cash. They gamble. They use interest rate swaps. This is the specific mechanism, the deduced villain of our story. Here is the twist you need to understand. Banks do not make money by keeping your cash in a vault. They make money by borrowing short-term from you, the depositor, and lending long-term via mortgages and bonds. They use interest rate swaps to hedge that risk. Essentially, Bank A bets that rates will stay low. Bank B bets rates will go up. They swap the risk. It works perfectly
as long as rates move slowly. But in 2022 and 2023, the Federal Reserve raised interest rates faster than at any time in history. They took a sledgehammer to a delicate glass sculpture. Suddenly, trillions of dollars in these derivative contracts went underwater. The safe bets became massive liabilities. Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, warned us about this years ago. He didn't call them financial instruments. He called them financial weapons of mass destruction. He warned that they carry dangers that, while latent now, could be lethal. He knew that these contracts bind the major banks together like mountain climbers roped together on a cliff face. If one falls, if one bank gets the interest rate bet wrong and collapses, it pulls the next one and the next one down with it. We saw a preview of this with Silicon Valley Bank. They bet on low rates. Rates went up. They died in 48 hours. But SVB was a small fish. The whales, JPMorgan, Deutsche Bank, Citi, are sitting on derivative books that are larger than the GDP of nations. And who is on the other side of these trades? Who is the ultimate counterparty that has to pay up when the math fails? You will not believe the name. It isn't another bank. It isn't a hedge fund. When the chain snaps, the final counterparty, the one left holding the bag for $1 quadrillion in bad bets, is an entity you know very well. It is the entity that claims to protect your savings, but is actually the architect of their destruction. The receipt is wilder than you think, because you have already started paying it.
We need to stop and actually process this number. 1 quadrillion. The human brain is not wired to understand numbers this big. Let us break it down. 1 million seconds is about 11 days. 1 billion seconds is about 31 years. 1 trillion seconds is 31,709 years. That takes us back to the Ice Age. 1 quadrillion seconds? That is 31 million years. That takes us back to the time of prehistoric mammals. That is the scale of the financial leverage hanging over our heads. It is an astronomical abstraction that has been allowed to fester in the unregulated shadows of the banking system. So, how does this mechanism actually work, and why is it currently burning? Let us look at the interest rate swap. This makes up the vast majority of that $1 quadrillion figure. Imagine two massive entities. Let us call them Megabank and Pension Fund. Megabank holds variable rate loans. If rates drop, they lose income. Pension Fund holds fixed rate bonds. If rates rise, their bonds lose value. They agree to swap payments. They sign a contract. No actual assets change hands initially. It's just a signature, a promise. I will pay you if rates go up. You pay me if rates go down. Because no assets change hands, they can create these contracts out of thin air. They can create a contract for $1 billion worth of notional value with only a tiny fraction of that amount in actual collateral. This is leverage. Now introduce the stats that should terrify you. Stat number 1. According to the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, just 5 U.S. banks hold over 90% of all derivatives in the United States. JPMorgan Chase alone holds exposure that has at times exceeded $50 trillion. That is nearly double the national debt of the United States, held on the books of a single bank. Stat number 2.
Look at Deutsche Bank in Europe. For years, analysts have pointed out that their derivative exposure was 40 times larger than the entire GDP of Germany. If a significant fraction of those bets go sour, there is not enough money in all of Europe to bail them out. Stat number 3. Since 1980, the use of financial derivatives has exploded by over 5,000%. We have financialized the economy to the point where the paper economy is the master of the real economy. Here is the mechanics of the collapse, the engineered collapse. When the Federal Reserve raised rates from 0% to over 5% in less than 2 years between 2022 and 2024, they violently altered the value of the collateral backing these trades. Remember the pension fund from our example? They hold government bonds as collateral for their bets. When rates rise, the value of those bonds crashes. We saw this with SVB. Their bonds lost 20% of their value. Suddenly, Megabank calls pension fund and says, "Hey, your collateral is worthless. You need to post more cash, now." This is called a margin call. Pension fund does not have the cash. They have to sell assets to get it. They sell stocks. They sell bonds. This drives prices down further. This creates a doom loop. More margin calls, more selling. This is exactly what happened in the UK in September 2022. Their pension funds almost evaporated overnight because of derivative margin calls. The Bank of England had to step in and print money instantly to stop the bleeding. This is the moral hazard. The banks know they are too big to fail. They know that if they construct a bomb big enough, a $1 quadrillion bomb, the government cannot let it detonate. If the derivative bubble bursts, credit stops, ATMs stop, supply chains halt. It is the end of the modern economy. So the banks take the risk. They pocket the premiums and the bonuses when times are good. They buy the yachts, they buy the Hamptons houses. This is parasitic finance. They produce nothing. They manufacture risk and sell it as safety. And when the trade goes against them, when the black swan arrives, they turn to the Federal Reserve and say, "Save us, or the world ends." And the Fed always says yes. But where does the Fed get the money? They do not have a vault of gold. They have a keyboard. They type in the zeros. In 2008, they printed trillions. In 2020, they printed trillions more. To save a quadrillion-dollar bubble, they will have to print numbers we do not even have names for yet. This creates the illusion of solvency. The banks look saved. The stock market goes back up. But the money they printed dilutes the money in your pocket. Every time they bail out the derivative market, they are transferring wealth from your savings account, your labor, and your future to the balance sheets of the banks. It's a hidden tax. It is theft. The derivative market is not a shield. It is a sword hanging over the neck of the middle class, and the string holding it is fraying with every interest rate hike.
We are living in an era of consequence. The can has been kicked down the road for 40 years, but we have run out of road. The modern system is faster, more interconnected, and more fragile than ever before. In 1929, news traveled by ticker tape. Today, algorithms execute trades in nanoseconds. When this bubble truly ruptures, it will not happen over months. It will happen in minutes. The danger isn't just financial. It is philosophical. It is the danger of denial. We trust institutions built on borrowed time. We trust a stock market propped up by printed liquidity. We trust
a banking system that is legally insolvent if they had to mark their bets to market value. The $1 quadrillion bubble is the ultimate testament to human greed and hubris. It is the belief that we can conquer risk with math. But math cannot create value. It can only hide risk until it explodes. When the bailout comes, and it will come, it will be sold to you as a rescue. They will say it is to save your pension. They will say it is to save jobs. But do not be fooled. It is to save the counterparties. It is to keep the casino lights on. The result will be the great dilution. The dollars in your bank account will remain, but they will buy less and less. The house you wanted to buy will double in price. The legacy you wanted to leave your children will be eroded by the invisible tax of inflation. So, I leave you with this final question. Are we wiser now, or are we simply walking the same path as 2008, just wearing better suits and using bigger numbers? If you suspect the answer is the latter, then you need to prepare. You need to get out of debt. You need to own real assets. And you need to stop trusting the official narrative. If this video opened your eyes to the scale of the deception, do two things for me right now. First, share this video with someone who thinks the economy is doing fine. They need to see the math. Second, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We are going to keep digging, keep exposing, and keep telling you the truth that Wall Street spends billions to hide. The bubble is wobbling. Do not be standing under it when it falls. I will see you in the next one.